Two Sheds Gabby back for another hunt. Today I have a box of nickels. A couple days ago I picked up a box of nickels and a box of dimes. I went through the dimes and I found nothing. That's the why I quit doing the dimes. I just haven't had good luck with them. It was a little bit frustrating and a little bit fun just going back through them, but I really wish I'd have gotten at least one silver out of it. Or something, a Canadian, anything. I got nothing. Anyway, let's hope we have better luck with this box of nickels. I'm looking forward to getting started. I'll pop it open here in a second and make sure they're not all new rolls. And if not, I'll just tear right into it. Well, they're not all new, and so we've got ourselves a hunt. No buffalo enders or V-nickel enders or anything like that. I did come up with an ender that's really got a sad case of the blues. He's got it bad. Most of you watching probably know, if you've seen my videos before, that my big thing I'm looking for is silver. That's what started me in the whole corn roll hunting thing to begin with. But I also love finding the Indian head nickels and occasional V-nickel. And for my hoarding, it's slash collecting, I keep all the nickels that are 1959 and older, and I just stash them away and roll them up and put them away for a rainy day or whatever. But anyway, this is the roll that had that blue nickel ender. And in the fourth and fifth coin was a 1939 and a 1949. So I'm going to turn them over and see if it happens to be one of the key dates. 39D and S is a key date, and the 49S is a semi-key date. So that would be pretty cool to start off with that. Usually the 39s, you don't find it there, but, you know, it could be. It's not. It's so sad. It's a Philadelphia. What about the 49? It's a D. Anyway, there's two more for my hoard collection, whatever you want to call it. It's a pretty good start, if they ask me. And I'll go through this roll pretty quickly, looking for the older coins. I'm not looking for anything other than that today. Obviously, if I happen to see something that's out of place, out of ordinary, I'm going to check it out a little closer and jump on that. Man, I hope to find the silver, though. See, that has kind of an older look to it, but it probably ain't. 1989. $64. When they came out with that one, that was the most minted coin ever. And there are a lot of varieties in the 64. So if you're going to look for varieties, which occasionally I do, there's the 64 is a good place to start. Looks like it could be an old one right there. 62, not quite what I'm looking for. The very next row, I find a 1947 Philadelphia. Maybe this box is going to have more of the older ones. Seems like the last two boxes I got not as many as I had been used to get. I used to get quite a few more just last year, I think, and this year I haven't been getting as many. Maybe this one will turn around and be a good box. Hope so. Maybe I spoke too soon. This is the sixth row before I found anything else, and this one's a 1957 D. This is the 13th row, and I finally find another one for my stash, 1955 Philadelphia. So it's starting to look a little bit more like, oh, there's a 53 right behind it. That one's a D. Time out, I got a phone call. In the next row, after I was interrupted by my phone call, I found a 1940, but it is in terrible condition. I think it says 40. It's a Philadelphia. Folks, I just came across this 1942. I guess most of you know that 1942 was the transition year. Some of them are silver and some of them are not. Man, let's hope that it is. It's got a little bit different color, but not. It doesn't stand out like a lot of them do. So maybe not. Oh, it's not. 1942 Philly, not silver. Well, there's another addition to my hoard. Still fun to find, but man, I wish it would have been silver. Has any of you ever heard of the Lost Cave of Bowling Green, Kentucky? It's all set up now to as a tourist area. It's a river that just shows up out of nowhere, and it goes, I don't know, a few football field lengths, and then it goes into a cave, and that's all there is to it. But there's a big entrance at the cave, mouth of the cave there, and back in the day, I think like the 20s and 30s and stuff, they used to have a nightclub scene there. During the Civil War, from what I understand, both the North and South used it as an area for like hideout, camp out, that sort of thing. And in, what year was that, 1876, Jesse James and his gang hid out there after robbing the Russellville, Kentucky bank. Anyway, the reason I bring it up, when I was 16, my older brother went to WKU College and had an apartment with a friend, and they had an extra bedroom and asked me if I would like to move in with them. And I'm like, yeah, boy, you better believe it. I wasn't there real long, but it sure was fun. Anyway, it was right down the road from this Lost River Cave. By the time I was living there, and this was mid-70s, it had been abandoned. And it was just the old bridge that had crossed the river at the mouth there of the cave. The planks were all gone, but the metal railing was still across it, so I would just climb across. I went down there a lot and played and crawled back into the cave. There was where the water went in, just to the right, there was a little area where you could duck down and eventually practically crawl and go around the edge of the water for a good ways. Or there was a spot farther to the right of the cave where there was a round hole. Hold on a minute. Anyway, there was this hole that was slanted upward at about a 45-degree angle. It was very muddy, where water dripped and stuff on it. And you could climb up that little muddy hole and follow it a little ways, and it went out over a ledge that looked, if you had a flashlight, that looked out over the river. And underneath your feet would have been where you would have crawled if you had have gone underneath. It was really cool. Up there, I had a flashlight up there just exploring around, and I found, I don't know if it meant anything or not, it probably didn't, but it was an old metal cross in the dirt up there. Oh, look at that. A proof coin. Well, that's cool. 2006 proof. Oh, neat. Well, that was a fun find right there. A little bit scratched up, but that's all right. Oh, man. I'll add that to my dollar proof coins that I found a few days ago. Pretty cool. Anyway, I loved playing down in that cave. A couple of years after I left there, I went back again to check it out, and they had fenced it all off and deemed it a hazard area that is too dangerous for people to play around and whatnot. The water always seemed calm to me, but I was told that underneath it was very turnt. I don't know that that's true, but that was the story I always heard. So they fenced it all off and closed it off. Well, since then, this is many years later, I guess maybe a family that owned it, I have no idea, but it's a 70-acre tourist area now with paths, and you can take a boat ride that goes back into the cave a ways. It ain't real far, I know, but it's still cool. You can see pictures of it if you don't go there. You can, and they said they've started kayaking. I don't know how far that. It's probably the same thing, and you can do what I used to do, and that's crawl. But anyway, that was a really cool place. Kind of a hideout type place back when I was a youngster. And to look back on it now and see what all they've done with it, and to know that I was down there all those years ago when it was just an abandoned old place, is a pretty cool memory. Look at that. This is my 20th roll. I just popped it open and the third coin in, and I found a 1943. So, and see, now that's not much different color than that 42 was. Sometimes they don't have that real deep bronze color. Philadelphia. Man, that's why I do this stuff, because I just love finding silver. That's fun. That's what it's all about for me. I just get a kick out of it. Plus, I get net worth. I get that nickel's worth $1.50, something like that. Kind of fun, I tell you. There's a 1958 dad over there. Whoa. That one's pretty rough. I'd say it's not silver. Golly. I'm just not going to worry about it. I wish back in the day when I was playing around up in that upper area that I'd had a metal detector, because that was back in early days. You just didn't see a lot of metal detecting, and there just wasn't people around there. I'm telling you, the only time I remember ever seeing anybody there is when I took somebody with me, which I did a couple of times. That could have been a super cool, fun hunt up there in that dirt. In the next couple of rolls, I find a 59 and a 56 to add to my stash. The next roll, I find a 1946, just 1 year too late. D. Boy, it'd be fun to find another one. I'd like to find another proof. That was fun, too. This is the second roll in the second half of the box. And here we found a 1947 Philadelphia. The 70s in pretty good condition. That was a 57. D. And another one to my stash. About the fifth roll in on the second half, I find me a Canadian nickel. Finally got one, 1998. How about that? So do any of you remember the old 60s Daniel Boone show? Oh my goodness, when I was a kid, I loved that show. I was the biggest Daniel Boone fan. My mom was a seamstress, and she made me a Daniel Boone outfit that I just wore all the time. And just lo and behold, Daniel Boone was coming to the Kentucky State Fair, and my parents took me. And there's this big arena, you know, where they have the horse shows and stuff, and Fess Parker comes out, Daniel Boone, and he's riding around, and he's shaking the kids' hands. So I run down there, and Fess Parker stopped his horse right there at me and said, "That's a fine-looking outfit you got there." Shook my hand, and it was, I think he gave me about a half a pound of sweat wettest old sweaty hand. I was so thrilled. That was a wonderful moment for me back then. Well, I've just got 8 rolls to go, and I am done with this box. I finally did come up to another 1939. Let's see if we've got a mint mark. Oh, another one that's done. Too bad. Oh well, most of them don't. 1939. That's 2 of them. Now, 239s. Coming to the end of the box already. Golly. You know, as I was growing up, my dad introduced me to Zane Grey. And I would say I've probably read most of his books. I just like, I know they're not considered highly intellectual or anything like that, but I don't care. I liked the way he talked about men with honor, with character, which was a clear distinction between the bad guys and the relationships between the men and the women. I liked it. Sometimes, I guess, because he really went into depth describing the terrain. And there were times I can remember reading on and on and on about that, thinking, let's get back to the story. But I overall, I'm glad that I read all that, and just, it builds up the storyline as he does that. I enjoyed those books a whole lot. That's the very next roll, and I find a 1941. It's a D. 41D. I was already pretty wild in high school, and then the government forced busing came along, and we did lots and lots of protesting because that's unconstitutional, and we were very much against it. Anyway, I boycotted for a long time, and I eventually just quit school. And then I think the next year I got my GED. And then a few years after I got married, I went to a business college and got an associate's degree. I wish I hadn't done that. I never needed it, really. For some reason, I felt like it was something I should do. But, I did it. I got an associate's degree in business from a school that went out of business a few years later. How's that? I don't know what that is, but it's not silver. Come on, let's see something else here. Bummer. Now just 3 rows to go, and here's a 1940. So I'm getting several of the older ones. I've only got the one silver. So sad. That was a Philadelphia. In college, I was in a business law class, and the teacher was extremely liberal, and we butt heads frequently. I wasn't just a kid out of high school. I was a married man with a couple of small children. And we got to the topic of liability of a hotel chain if a woman is raped or harmed by a man. And there was a pretty big discussion, and it was, back and forth quite a bit. Not just me and her, but a few others. 64. And, because she was trying to point out how the hotel could in some ways be liable. 57, there's another one. And I said, have we considered the possibility that the woman is lying? And she got there's a 56, there's another one. She literally grabbed the chalkboard eraser and threw it at me and hit me in the chest. My chest was all chalked up. She real quickly realized she could get into a lot of trouble for that and apologized. But I said, it's not a problem. We're in a heated discussion. I'm not going to bring charges or nothing. I'm not that kind of person. But I think we actually got along a little bit better after that. How about that? It's kind of funny, isn't it? As if women never lie. Unreal. People lie frequently. Well, there's one row to go after this one, but hey, I actually got something out of the ordinary. Got this little flat plastic disc with a hole in it. Just the shape of a nickel. Wonder what that was for. Well, there's my crazy finds for the night. Let me go through this one more row here and we'll wrap it up. Well, there was nothing in the last row, so I've bagged up my nickels. I've got a lot of coins to return. Nickels and pennies and dimes, they got to get returned, and I just ain't had the chance to do it much lately. Well, I do have one more silver to add to my 2024 silver finds. This puts me at 32 for the year. Each week that I'm not finding anything in those half dollars, it's setting me back just a little bit more. I really need to have a good week. I got a proof. That was fun. I like finding proofs. They're always cool. But I didn't find, the way I started, I thought, hey, I'm going to do better than the last few boxes on the older nickels, but I didn't. I think it's not even maybe as good as the last two boxes. I don't know, but my main goal is silver. I got one. I'm happy about that. And I'm going to keep plugging away and plugging away. I pick up a couple more boxes of half dollars on Thursday. I just hope I'm not like 6 weeks in a row on 2023s. Thanks for watching, everybody. I do appreciate it. And make your comments. I love hearing from you. And whatever you got to say, I always try to respond. We'll see you next time.